Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Renegade Wingman podcast. I'm excited to have you, and I'm extremely excited to have a very special guest here today, Mr. Michael Sartain. How are you doing today, sir?
Good, man. I'm really excited. This is cool.
Yeah. So my first kind of question as I launch into this here is, so your group MOA, right, Men of Action. How did you come up with that concept, and then how did you go about facilitating building that out?
So I've been sort of pseudo in the self-help community since like '08. Meaning like I started giving speeches and people would ask me to come talk at different things. And it was like everything from dating to like power of now, mindfulness kind of stuff. And one of the things that I noticed is that there was this one guy, we it's not his name, but we call him Doug. Like he's kind of a client type that we have in our program. And what Doug is a guy who's taken 15 different courses and takes absolutely no action on any of them. He can quote you everything by Marcus Aurelius and knows every book on Tai Lopez's book list, but he does nothing. He sits on his couch and he just reads more books, and he doesn't ever create a business, and he doesn't ever flip a house, and he doesn't ever do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we just call these guys a Doug, right? So this Doug archetype, I was giving a speech. It's probably in 2019. I was doing Zoom calls for one of my buddies' courses. And I said, if I ever make a course, it's going to be called Men of Action, because I'm sick and tired of people like doing these courses and they're selling a feeling. Like just imagine like if you're selling like microchips or if you're selling alcohol, you have a cost of goods sold, right? You got to ship your alcohol out there. And then let's just say, like, for instance, one of these nightclubs, they'll sell a $26 bottle of alcohol for like $1,000. That's a really good markup. So your cost of goods sold is like $26. What's cost of goods sold on a feeling? Nothing. How much does it cost you to store and manufacture and deliver feelings? I was like, man, this is an incredible business model. We could just sell feelings forever. But the problem is people don't get better at their job. Their lives don't improve. They don't have a smaller waistline. Their bank account doesn't increase. They're not dating the girl of their dreams. So I was like, we're going to do only action, and it's going to suck. And a lot of you are not going to want to take my course if I do it. So I came up with the idea for Men of Action, and then the modules in it. There's the first Men of Action had 50 modules in it. And it was in October of 2020. And those 50 modules were basically like Kanye's first album. Like I had been dreaming them up for 15 years. And that's why it was just like everything in there just flowed. It wasn't a chore to make that course. It was like, it was cathartic to make that course. It was the course that I needed to make. And the reviews were so good that I went and made a second one. I'm re-recording some of the first one just because some of the terms of service on Instagram have changed. And a lot of what I teach is how to manipulate Instagram in order to like build a social circle. So I've had to change a couple of those things. And also we filmed the first one in 720. It's really funny. I spent $800 on that studio that I filmed it in. And I think we've just crossed maybe 8 million in sales now from that first course. And so like, that's the thing that's just so incredible about it.
Now, you also focus and have a really huge emphasis on like sort of social circle game. And so, one of the big things that you're known for, right, is that here's Mike, here's 20 or 30 girls that are with him. Like, great. So for someone that's seeing you for the first time, right, how would you explain to them how to bridge that gap, so to speak?
Yeah. So it depends. If you're starting from zero, think of the concept of like a local celebrity. So like up here is Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then here's the science teacher with no Instagram down here. He has no fame. Everywhere he goes, no one knows who he is except for his family. There's this like lower middle class of fame where every restaurant you go to, they know your name. And every hot girl at every bar has at least seen you. They're at least aware of you, either through IG or through a party that you threw. And there's no club you can't walk into, and there's no club like country club or nightclub that won't have you as a guest. And people invite you to every party in your city. Maybe your city is Dallas, Texas. Maybe your city is Atlanta, Georgia. Every party you get invited to, and when you go out, you can easily get 6 to 10 girls to just like go with you to every party. Just one guy and like 6 to 10 girls, because you know girls who know girls, and you're dating one girl and then you're friends with like 5 others. So you're always 6 deep with females whenever you go out. That's a life that's super easy for me to reverse engineer and build for you. And so that's essentially what the course is. If you come from a place of like the pickup artists or like the pickup industry, it's going to be more like social circle versus cold approach. Right. I teach social circle. I will say this, and this is going to offend a lot of people, and I'm sorry if it does, but what's been taught previously wasn't actually social circle. It was this thing where pickup artists were like trying to combine cold approach attempts together to make like a conglomerate of people, but it wasn't really social circle.
Right.
Because pickup doesn't teach how to use social media, it doesn't teach logistics, and it doesn't teach how to use female teammates to introduce you to more females. So no one ever really taught social circle before me. And there's no one, like if I would say I'm a 10 at teaching social circle game, I don't think there's anyone in the world who's even like a 6. Like we just found this blue ocean where no one else was able to do it. Now, some people are probably listening to this and like, that's really fucking arrogant. Well, if you think it's arrogant, go look at the 70 girls I brought to Wet Republic the other day for a bikini competition. 70. Go count them. Not 69, not 68, 70 that I brought. And I did 100% of the recruiting for that. And I teach my clients how to do this. And my clients have parties with like, it'll be, 50 dudes and 300 girls. And we learn how to make that ratio by creating bigger, better deal, by using the first 4 steps of Men of Action. Step 1, fix your Instagram. Step 2, build your lists. Step 3, get open threads and build goodwill. And step 4, take 6 girls with you to an event. We learn it through breaking rapport. We learn it through value arbitrage. We learn it through the concept of treat them all the same and make them talk about themselves. The 6 rules of MOA. Rule number 1, we only pay attention to people's actions. We don't listen to the words. Rule number 2, all human behavior is described through evolutionary psychology. Rule number 3, abundance is always the answer. Rule number 4, social media is fake, and I'm okay with that because the money's rule. Rule number 5 is we don't talk shit about people behind their back. We just learn from people who are doing better than us. And rule number 6 is no one needs to know who you're fucking or how much money you make because you don't need to qualify to anyone. We teach these concepts to people, and then they have outrageous results. And so we sort of proved social circle is better than cold approach. Not that cold approach isn't great. Right. Cold approach, it should be cold approach to build a social circle.
Right.
So we like almost like Pythagorean's theorem proof.
Right.
We proved that social circle is more efficient than cold approach. And that's essentially what we did. If you come from that arena instead of like coming from a zero, right. Coming from nothing as a newbie.
Okay. Yeah. And so the first phase, right? Like the fix your Instagram and social media. Now I won't ask you to give away anything that's like too, right?
No, I give everything. Like again, when you join my course, people have been trying to steal my course. Like right now, there's over 100 different accounts trying to sell my course like at a discounted rate. By the way, they're all scams. You can go try to buy them if you want. But when I sell my course, you're selling accountability, feedback, and community. The community part is like you won't get that community part or that feedback part or that accountability part and also updates. You won't get that if you just try to steal the course. So when people join the course, like that's essentially what they're getting. And there's a reason why we have so much. We don't let anyone fall behind either. There's so like, for instance, when a guy joins the course and he's in New York, we set him up with the 30 other New York guys. When a guy joins the course and he's in Israel, we send him up with the 10 other Israeli guys. When a guy joins the course and he's in California, we set him up with the 200 guys in California. So there's other guys in the course that we have help them. We have networking coaches, we have onboarding coaches, and we hire these guys from inside the people who've had a lot of success already inside the program.
Okay. So, and yeah, that's fantastic because, a lot of times with a lot of communities, right, it's like you're sold a bill of goods and then you're just kind of dumped in the woods with, not even a sharpened stick and just told, all right, go make something, right?
This is like unheard of for this type of high ticket coaching. We, I think, have a refund rate less than 1.2%. It's like I've talked to every other coach and we have the lowest refund rate of anyone. And we have a 100% money back guarantee policy. Nobody ever takes us up on it. Because the problem is, in order to do it, you have to participate in the course. There's no way to participate in the course and see that it doesn't work. There's no, like Andrew Tate did a post yesterday. You remember he said, there's no such thing as the guy who works for 10 years, works his ass off, is charismatic, and is an entrepreneur and is still broke. There's no such thing. Right. There's no such thing who's someone who does my steps in MOA and doesn't have an incredible social circle. It doesn't exist. So that's the reason why, we have such, satisfaction with the course.
Now, I'm really curious about your sort of thoughts on where the social media sphere is moving everything, because it's, seeing the huge transformation that social media has impacted, not only just in the dating world, but like in the global sphere in general. It's been quite interesting to see. So I'm really, really curious to see exactly where your thoughts are on the trajectory of where it's pushing everything. Yeah. Do you think it's pushing everything in the direction that a lot of people are saying that, everything's like going to hell in a handbasket? Or is it more that there's a lot of still good opportunity out there to really foster it and use what it was theoretically originally designed for?
So if you were to look at like a scale of people as far as like rate them by their income, the United States has like a large middle class compared to most industrialized countries. What social media did is it eliminated the middle class for men. There is no male middle class anymore. You're a guy who gets like tons of options with women because you have it figured out, or you get nothing. And the reports from the U.S. Census data, the Institute for Family Studies, the I can't remember what the other one is called. There's several other studies that show GSS. They show these studies where it's like 26% of men under the age of 30 are virgins, 26%. And then like when you consider that the average North American male has slept with 5 women in his entire life. So now we're at the 50th percentile, we're at 5. The top 5% of men are at 150. So if you were to look at it like this, sexual opportunity is 0, 0, 0. It goes up to 5, and then it shoots up to 150. What Instagram, what social media has done is it's eliminated this middle class. It's not a linear. If you were to look at female body count, you probably find like a linear graph. Right. But for men, you find a hockey stick. So what it's done is it's eliminated the middle class for men. There's a small group of men at the top. Social media has allowed a small group of men at the top to get all the women, and the rest of men who are like have a shitty Instagram or shitty social media, shitty Twitter, shitty Facebook, whatever. It's like there's either excellent or caca. There's no such thing as a man who's a 6 anymore on social media. You are a man that women are chasing and other women can see them chasing you, or you're complete and total garbage and you have absolutely no chance with a woman unless you get drunk with a very unattractive woman at a bar. Like that's the only shot you have. And so what's happened is like I used to hang out with Mystery and Matador and Neil Strauss and all those guys back in like 08, 09, 010. And the things they were doing worked so much better back then because Instagram had not come out. Right. So now what happened is there would be like a guy, they'd be in a club and they'd be talking to all the girls and all the guys, and there would be a stratification of value in there. There'd be one guy who's really good looking, or he'd have a dance floor table or whatever. He'd have some form of value. And then maybe at the end of the night, valet would come up and one guy would pull up in a Lambo and he had like a discernible advantage over other dudes, or he was good looking, or he's very charismatic or super connected. And what's happened is that advantage that the guy had, let's just say it's a 15% advantage over a replacement level guy like me, he'd have a 15% advantage. So he'd have a higher chance of taking a girl home statistically. What happens is because of social media, that 15% advantage is now exponential because it's multiplied by 1 billion women. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so now his advantage becomes humongous. It becomes like inexhaustible. And so whenever I hang around these guys who like have their shit together, like, and I'm talking everything from a male stripper to a VIP host to a guy who's a billionaire to a guy who's a comedian to a guy who's an actor, to a guy who's just really funny, or to a guy who just goes out and is super social. He has dates lined up 2 a night, 7 nights a week if he wants. And then when I talk to a buddy of mine who's like 22 years old working at Walmart, he can't get one single date on Tinder. Right. You see what I'm saying? Right. So the middle class for men has evaporated. That's what social media has done.
Okay. Now, since this is what the playing field is, where do you see it going? Do you see it just getting more extreme or more polarized?
I get it more polarized, more bifurcated. But the thing is, because there's been this incredible push by mainstream culture to demasculinize men, they can, like, again, like, violence for violence sake is wrong. Right. Assaulting people, taking advantage of them sexually, committing crimes is wrong. In that it is wrong, if we want to call it toxic, it is toxic. And men and women both do it. Right. Okay. What's happened, though, is that anything that men do that's masculine, that upsets women, isn't necessarily wrong just because it upsets women. So, for instance, a man having a boundary and decide, like, I watch... I didn't do it on my own volition. We were doing research. Rollo watched the Barbie movie, so I had to watch the Barbie movie. I bootlegged it. Okay, thank you to the Indian people for bootlegging it for me. I watched the Barbie movie, and doing so, there's a scene in there where Ken is completely told he's superfluous. Barbie's like, "You're just the boyfriend. You're just a side piece. I don't really need you." And Ken does what men are supposed to do. He got the fuck up and he left, and he made a better life for himself. And all the other people in the movie are like, look how immature Ken is. Why don't you take your little superfluous nature like a bitch, like a man? And like, so women are like, the society is telling men that they need to be lower status and just accept it. And their masculine qualities are immature. Them wanting to be attractive to multiple women is immature. Them having boundaries is immature. That's what they're being taught. So because of that, and because so many men listen, the ability to get into that top 20% has never been easier. There's fewer people in that highest strata. I say top 20%. It's actually not. If you were to look at a normal distribution, it's probably 84% of men are in the lower status and 16% of men in the higher status, just because that's, if you look at, that's 1.5 standard deviations. So if you were to say that, if you were to use those numbers, what you would come up with is there's never been fewer people in that that 14% or 20% or whatever it is, but it's never been easier to get into it because
Right.
all you have to do is look at and say, hey, maybe I should look at what works and not what I'm being taught. The idea of being hyper vulnerable with a woman when you first meet her is bad game. I don't care what anyone tells you. That's unattractive to women. You want to lose a woman? Here's what you do. You tell her your problems.
Right.
But that's not what people are telling. Be more vulnerable. Talk about your feelings. Blah blah blah. That kind of stuff. Like, no, that's not what. That's not good advice. It is good advice to the mother of your children because she's earned that place.
Right.
You've just had your first child. You want to cry in front of your wife. That's totally, you lost a family member. You want to cry in front of your wife. That's totally appropriate. It is not appropriate to go on a first date with a woman and tell her about all the times other women have cheated on you because the woman sitting across from you now thinks you have a micro penis and you're super fucking possessive and all these other, this is bad game. These guys don't understand this. So all I do is I look at my competition. I'm 45. I look at my younger competition. I look at Tekashi 6ix9ine, who's a snitch, Machine Gun Kelly, who dresses in a pink dress, and then someone like Post Malone, who's addicted to drugs and has tattoos on his face. And I'm like, I just won't do that, and I should be able to get women. And voila, guess what? I was right. Yeah, that turns out I was right.
I tell guys all the time, right, that it's like, the average guy has set the bar so low that to stand out, you don't even have to be like top tier exceptional, but just to even stand out above the crowd, it's never been easier. More entry points and access points.
And let me say something else. I'm not one of these people wake up at 4:30 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Drink your mushroom tea and do your yoga. And I don't do fucking yoga. I don't take ice baths all the time. Ice baths are great, but I don't take them all the time. I don't wear blue blockers, all this other shit. I will tell you right now, when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, I'm going to play the fuck out of it. I'm one of the top players in the world at Madden, and I still have a perfect 10 girlfriend, and I still run an 8-figure business. Okay. So you can still do this. I'm not trying to be too draconian when it comes to this stuff, but I'm telling you guys, if you just stop listening to bullshit. Now, here's the other part. Don't go in the other direction so far that it's like, now I hate women.
Right.
That's also, I love the shit out of women. I was talking to Justin Waller about this and Dan Bilzerian about this. I'm going to go see Dan right after this. But talked to both of them, and they both said the same thing to me. And I think Adam Sosnick said something similar to me. He goes, the reason why I don't like making content about shitting on women is because my interactions with women have been generally positive. They generally lead to like threesomes. They're fun. Women are great. Women, my experiences, and I will say the same thing. My experience with women overall through the entirety of my life, maybe not in the beginning. I was made fun of a lot in high school, junior high, whatever. But my experiences with women in general are super, super, super positive. They help me raise money for charity. They're good friends to talk to. Like when I had to put a cat down the other day, I don't have guy friends that I can talk to about putting this beautiful cat that I rescued. I had to kill this cat because I had kidney failure. It was one of the hardest, but I had some of my female friends who had been involved in rescue, and they were able to give me advice on what to do. Like women are helpful in those instances. My overall experience with women, whether it be just having conversation with them and we're laughing, watching TV shows together, or in a hot tub with 12 of them and we're all naked, there's just been positive experiences. So what you don't want to do is get into the shit on women category either.
Right.
You don't want to go from the where you don't have boundaries category. That's bad. The simpy category. But you also don't want to go into the I shit on women, because that guy's not good with women either.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you don't want to do either one of those things.
Yeah. And I tell people all the time, a large reason why I'm able to get the best out of women and the best out of their interactions I have is because I just genuinely love them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have that genuine love for something, you're not going to be able to get the best out of it, experience the best out of it. So coming from your journey, right, as you mentioned that there was, we were made fun of it a lot and stuff. I was like, where did you start? Because we know that Michael Sartain now, but we rewind the clock back, say like 30 years or so. Like, where exactly was your starting point to where are you now? If you can outline a little bit of that journey.
Are we talking about a business? Or are we talking about my understanding of intersexual dynamics? Like, which part of it are you talking about?
I'm talking about both, all of it.
So a couple of major inflection points. One for me was out of college, MCI WorldCom and Enron go out of business, and I had an IT degree from the University of Texas at Austin, so I can't find a job because Enron turned out to be a huge sham. So everyone from Enron gets fired, and so there's just this glut of there's just too many people in this industry, so I can't find a job. So I end up almost as a joke taking a job as a DJ at a strip club. And then I later on, I have a degree, I have a business degree, and I'm a DJ at a strip club. So who do they want to promote to be manager? Me. So I end up becoming a manager at a strip club when I'm 23, 24, 25. Now, I will tell you this. I ended up hooking up with a lot of girls working at a strip club, but usually they weren't even girls at my strip club. I would go to other strip clubs, and because I understood strippers so much better, I was just really good with strippers at this point. That was the first thing. And the second thing that happened was I would see girls come in getting beaten by their spouses and then making excuses for their spouses and listening to the other girls like say this stuff and then leaving and then coming back and getting beaten again. And like, it was very sad to watch, but I also knew, hey, wait a second, something in the system is broken. Disney lied to me. My church lied to me. My family, they meant well, but they lied to me.
Right.
If I treat hot women well, they will not treat me well back by default, which is what I was told. It's not true. Also, the other part is like when a girl cheats on you, you're like, baby, she cheated on you because she couldn't handle you. You're my special snowflake. And she cheated on you because you fell short somewhere. You need to wake the fuck up and recognize that.
Yep.
But the world isn't going to tell you that.
Yeah.
Right. It's the worst advice you can take as a man. Like when your girl cheats on you, take that, use it, learn from it, and go get a PR on the bench. No man who gets cheated on should go a month without a new personal record on a bench press. No man should do that ever. And so like it was just one of these situations where I was like, something's broken, and I'm watching these beautiful women. I'll never forget it. This one girl's like hottest girl at the strip club I worked at. I was still a DJ. She'd come in, flirt with me all day, just sit on my lap. I'm 22. I'm like slobbering on myself. This girl's so fucking hot. I think I have no chance with her. All she does is complain about the other daytime DJ. This guy treats her like trash. He's like, I can't fucking stand this guy. I can't never forget. His name's Ryan and her name's Joy. And so Joy's like sitting on my lap, you know, whatever, flirting with me half the time. It's like, man, I fucking can't stand the guy. I only come here to work with you because I love you. And then blah, blah, blah. Couple weeks go by, she goes, just want to let you know, I moved out with I broke up with my husband. I was like, oh man, I got a shot. And I go, and I moved in with Ryan. What? You just told me what a piece of shit he was. And you moved in with him? Something was broken. Something that the world had. Now, thank God I learned this at 23, 24. Something that the world was telling me wasn't true. When I picked up the Rational Mail the first time, I was like it wasn't like a eureka moment. I was like, thank you finally for someone writing this down correctly, because this is what I had seen so many times. I knew this to be true. Rule number 1 in my program is we don't listen to the words. We only pay attention to people's actions. Yep. The original form of that 15 years ago was anything a woman states emphatically, the opposite is true. That was that was originally what it was. And then I changed it to what we say now. What happened was my red pillness awareness came, ironically, this is 02, 03, the same time that Rollo starts posting on, So Suave Forum or whatever. So we're kind of starting around the same time. Then the second eye-opening moment for me was 06. My father's killed by a drunk driver. I'm a first lieutenant in the U.S. military. And 6 weeks later, I get deployed to the Middle East. So I'm in the Middle East. And I'm not dealing with it well enough. Like, I'm not dealing with it at all. Like, I'm actually surprised at how well I'm dealing with the fact that my father was just killed by a drunk driver. I'm 29 years old. And while I'm there, there's my girlfriend at the time. I took on, remember, it's MySpace back then. Oh, yeah. I'm looking on MySpace. And on MySpace, I see her. She has not broken up with me, but she's already with some other dude at Cabo San Lucas at the Ark of Cabo. And I'm getting cheated on. Not cheated on. Like, she was just done with me, and I finally got an email afterwards telling me, hey, I need to move on. And I don't blame her, right? Think about it. She just started dating me, and my dad dies, and then I get deployed to the Middle East. That's too much for a woman to handle. Wow. So we break up. We're still friends to this day. It's really funny. And so now I come back, and then I'm having a really hard time just dealing with life, because I'm also kind of stuck. I love being in the military, but I'm stuck. I'm stuck in Warner Robins, Georgia. And someone recommends that I read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And man, after the first 3 chapters, I pull my car over to the side of the road, and just this way, I'm driving back and forth from Atlanta to Warner Robins. I pull over. I remember I'm going southbound on 85, pull over the side of the road, and I just feel this weight lifted from my chest. Man, these fucking worthless people don't matter. It was the first time when I came to this realization that only matters is this moment. And really everything that I'm doing is trying to create a persona for other people to see me a certain way. And they this incredible liberating feeling of when I die, no one will give a shit 3 weeks after I'm dead. Just total and complete freedom after I did that. And I noticed after I did that, how outrageously more women were attracted to me. When I went into every interaction, the greatest book on dating I've ever read, I used to say it was the $100 million offer. It's actually The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. If you could have that attitude, or the Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson, that just complete and total attitude of just disregarding what she thinks. Now, not to the point where you're autistic or uncalibrated. If your breath smells bad, the guys who go, they don't have you seen the 60-day challenge? Yeah. 60 days of no showering, and then they're eating food off other girls' plates, or they're lying down in the middle of the street, or they're barking at women. That's just uncalibrated. Yeah. That's not giving a fuck. That's actually giving too much of a fuck to prove to yourself you don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
That's actually the opposite. That's psychologically unhealthy. It's like the true freedom of recognize. The true freedom comes from like what's his name? Mangle Frank. I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy that come to the realization that like no one's going to care when you die.
Yeah.
That utter and total freedom once I came to that point. And I do that with my clients all the time. I'm like, your president fucked a porn star while his wife was pregnant, got elected. A man changed his gender to female, murdered, like killed someone out in the road, like ran him over while he was drunk and was named Woman of the Year 4 months later. Yeah. No one gives a shit. OJ Simpson right now is in Florida somewhere. People are making white girls are going up to him, making TikToks with him, and he stabbed 2 people 53 times. Ronald Goldman's blood was in his car, and he got off a murder conviction, and no one gives a fuck. But you think you're going to get in trouble because you posted a meme or went and talked to some hot girl. It's crazy when you come to the full and total realization that nobody cares what you do. And that's it. That's what I realized. No one pays for shit. You're like, you know, all this rhetoric, these OnlyFans girls. What's going to happen when their kids find out of it? Really? Nothing's going to happen because there's going to be so many girls with money that did OF that like no one's going to give a shit. I've seen PTAs kick women out. And by the way, I don't even disagree with that from a moral standpoint. I don't want to marry a girl who fucks on OnlyFans. I totally get that. I actually don't even want my kids to go to a school with a bunch of women I get it. And my friends do OnlyFans. I totally understand the sentiment. But at the same time, some girl who does OnlyFans will be a governor. Right. She will be a mayor someday. And you're going to see the Overton window is going to shift so far to the left that none of this is going to matter. So while I may have my own standards, I'm also realistically understanding that the world is shifting to the left, and that's just the way it is. So get used to it and like Richard Cooper says, enjoy the demise.
Well, you know, adapt or die, right? Yeah. That's the fundamental law of nature. So yeah, we're just about out of time here, but this has been a fantastic conversation. I've really enjoyed your insights, and thank you for sharing your story. Where can people find you? You know, where can people sign up for MOA? Mm-hmm. Let them know.
Go to Instagram. Find me at Michael Sartain. If you want to sign up for our free school server, the free school server is going to have the first 4 steps of MOA. It's going to have our calendar. It's going to have all our Instagram testimonials, all our video testimonials, and there's something else I can't remember right now. Oh, the schedule for all the free calls. It will be on the free MOA school group if you guys want to do that. If you want to just like join Men of Action, like you really want to make a massive change in your life, just go to moamentoring.com. You can do that. Just hit me up on Instagram and I'll show you where all that stuff is.
All right. Well, beautiful. You guys heard it from here. So, sir, thanks very much.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Awesome.